give reports to the Malawian people of some of the activities taking place within the administration. So we thank you for always joining us and allowing us the opportunity to do this as a service to the Malawian people. And fellow Malawians all over the country, from Sanje to Chitipa, good morning and welcome to Sanjika Palace. This morning, before I begin to articulate the diary for the President, I would like to just make a few comments from the perspective of the President as well as State House with relation to some stories that have been dominating the media space over the last week, whether dominating the media space in the press or social media for that matter. And one story that has been of public interest to the Malawian people, and on which we would like Malawians to receive some clarifications from the administration and the President's office in particular, relates to a few articles that have emerged in the press. Particularly a day ago, there was an article in the Nation newspaper related to allegations of political interference at the national oil company of Malawi, NOCMA. Now, it has also been reported by Nyasa Times. I believe also MalawiNews 24 has carried an article on the same and has generated a lot of discussion in the social media space. Malawians will be interested to know that the National Oil Company of Malawi is responsible for the tendering process of the supply of fuel to the country, which is a critical component of the Malawian economy. Without fuel being supplied to this country, the economy, quite frankly, would grind to a halt. And Malawi is not a producer of these oils, and so they all have to be imported. And importation of fuels implies not only the supply of the same, it also implies the transportation of the same, as well as the storage of the same. And there are various industry players who provide this service to the Malawi government and have done so for many, many years. And so NOCMA is responsible for receiving contracts, receiving bids and proposals from potential contractors who would like to be considered for this particular service to the country. So the story that's dominated the media space has to do with the fact that the deputy director of NOCMA on Friday wrote, it is reported, wrote to the Anti-Corruption Bureau to complain that two officials of the Chakwera administration were interfering with a process being undertaken at NOCMA that's meant to function independently. And the two individuals that were named in that letter of complaint to the Anti-Corruption Bureau were the President's chief advisor on strategy and manifesto implementation, Mr. Christian Mabanda, and the other is the Honorable Minister of Energy, Honorable Newton Kambala. Another individual that's named in that complaint to the Anti-Corruption Bureau is the President of Alliance for Democracy, Honorable Enoch Chihana, who is a partner of the President in the Tonse Alliance. This letter was dispatched to the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Those of you in the press made contact with the director of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, Mr. Reinik Matemba, and he confirmed that he had received the letter from the deputy director of NOCMA, and that he was going to look into the matter. So questions that arise have to do with what the President's view is of this matter, since the complaint to the Anti-Corruption Bureau makes very, very serious allegations of political interference against a State House official, a cabinet member, as well as an alliance partner, all of them with direct links to the president in various ways, as I have already described. Well, on behalf of the president, what I can say is that since this matter has been reported to the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and the Anti-Corruption Bureau has already confirmed that they are going to do an inquiry into the same in order to ascertain the legitimacy of these allegations and to determine whether there is any case to be answered, on the presumption, of course, as required by law, that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. The president has no comment on this matter because it is now a subject of investigation by an independent law enforcement agency. And once that investigation is concluded and a report has been filed and the president is presented with the facts of the matter beyond rumor, allegation, and gossip, then he will determine what course of action he needs to take, if any at all. And so that's just a passing comment on the NOCMA issue for your information. A second issue that has come up, I believe this was reported by Nyasa Times as well as other social media commentators of influence on the social media space, relates to the recent engagement of the Tony Blair Institute by His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Chakwera to assist his office with the installation of a delivery unit that will enable him to do two things. First, the delivery unit that the president has engaged the Tony Blair Institute to help him set up together with his team is being set up in order to address capacity deficiencies within the government machinery. It is no secret to the Malawian people who listened very closely to the Constitutional Court case that took place not only at the Constitutional Court, the High Court sitting as a Constitutional Court of 5 judges, but also the Supreme Court, that both courts passed a scathing indictment against the Malawi Electoral Commission in its conduct of the 2019 elections as having been done in an incompetent and unconstitutional manner. Ever since President Chakwera took office and was sworn into office on the 29th of June, 2020, he and his team have been doing a full-scale assessment of various governance institutions across the state machinery and have determined that the incompetence issues that were unearthed by the court at Malawi Electoral Commission exists in multiple institutions of government. Issues of unprofessionalism, issues of incompetence, issues of people occupying positions over the last decade or decade and a half for which they are not qualified, doing jobs they simply cannot do very well. And so one of the things that President Chakwera has put on his agenda is to set up a delivery unit that diagnoses capacity deficiencies in the state machinery so that his cabinet, as well as his advisors and his staff, can address those. So this delivery unit is meant to assess those capacity gaps and address them accordingly. The second purpose of his engagement of the Tony Blair Institute is because the Tony Blair Institute is operating, doing this particular function in 16 other African jurisdictions, including jurisdictions that have become success stories from the African continent, such as the success story of the Rwandan story, for example, with the Kagame administration. The Tony Blair Institute is engaged there providing precisely this sort of consultancy service. And because they work on the continent and have done so for quite a period of time, they have a large database of governance mistakes and issues that can be avoided. And quite frankly, it is a compendium of data that we are grateful to have access to from people that have gathered it over a period of time. And so the president wants to gain insight into the governance situation within the region. As you know, he's actually going to be the chair of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, beginning next year. It is in his best interest to understand these issues at a continental level. And the Tony Blair Institute over the past decade has unearthed all of these data from their work in 16 African jurisdictions, and the president wants to make full use of that. And so he engaged former Prime Minister of Great Britain, Mr. Tony Blair. He spoke to him within weeks of being sworn into office, and they spoke again some 3 weeks ago. And the two of them have a great friendship, and the president has no opinion about Mr. Tony Blair's politics. The president has no opinion about Mr. Tony Blair's tenure of service as Prime Minister of another country. That's none of President Chakwera's business. The president's business is providing quality service to the Malawian people. And he engaged the Prime Minister to have his technical experts here on the ground. And the Prime Minister committed to do that at no cost to the Malawian government. It will not cost taxpayers a single kwacha for these people to provide this service. So these people are here committed to assist the country, and the president is welcoming of any help from any experts who are willing to do so without taking advantage of the Malawian people, without taking advantage of taxpayer money. And the president is fully persuaded that these experts who are currently here, a team of 3, they are committed to assisting him deliver his agenda. The Tony Blair Institute does not set any agenda. They do not decide what the focus of the administration is. The president sets the agenda and engages them to provide specifically those issues which are of value addition to the process that's being taken. Now, it may be of interest to you that in 2012, the Tony Blair Institute was in Malawi under the Joyce Banda administration, providing a similar service. And some criticism has been made that of what use is the Tony Blair Institute when they were here in 2012, and yet after their engagement with the Joyce Banda administration, we still had the issue of Cashgate that followed. So in response to this criticism, it is important to note that when the Tony Blair Institute was here in 2012, their focus was providing a performance metric at the office of the President and Cabinet at Capitol Hill. That performance metric is still in place to this date, and it is utilized by the people at the office of the President and Cabinet to provide various performance metrics across the public sector. They were not involved, nor were they engaged in 2012 in providing any kind of expertise or counsel or advice related to Malawi's financial system. They did not work with the Ministry of Finance, nor did they work with the Treasury, and as everybody knows, these are the places where the looting took place. They left 3 months before the 2014 elections for various reasons that I will not get into, but they did leave 3 months before the election, primarily because in an election year, it's more difficult for advisors in general to be effective. So they left at that time. So I wanted to just give that insight, and maybe some people feel that the president should not engage these people in providing advice because they are foreigners. But the president does not share that view because the president is not xenophobic. The president will receive help that delivers assistance to the Malawian people from anybody that is willing to do so in the true spirit of servant leadership without taking advantage of Malawians. And he's persuaded that this particular team, which is not the same team that was here in 2012, is committed to that cause. But there will be no cost to the Malawian people for that service. I just thought that that should be made clear. Okay. I would like to proceed to give you updates on the President's engagements as follows. In the last week, as you know, on Monday the 23rd, the President and Vice President, Right Honorable Dr. Saulos Chilima, came together at Sanjika Palace in the capital in order to get all of the cabinet members to sign performance contracts that will be used to measure the effectiveness of the different ministries in delivering what the Tonse Alliance promised during the campaign. And then the President, on Tuesday, the 24th of November, participated in a UN dialogue commemorating 75 years of the UN's existence, and was joined in that dialogue by the resident coordinator for the United Nations, Ms. Torres, as well as the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, who participated virtually from the head office of the UN in New York. On Wednesday, the 25th of November, President Chakwera participated in the launch of the Flag Week by the Red Cross. This took place at Kamuzu Palace. On Thursday, the 26th of November, the President held a cabinet meeting in which many different issues were tackled. In fact, it was a cabinet meeting that lasted 9 hours, if I am not mistaken. Started at 9 o'clock in the morning and finished at 6 p.m. on that Thursday, because there are various issues that needed to be attended to, including the rollout of the Affordable Inputs Program. And on Friday, President Chakwera flew out of the country to go to Gaborone, the capital of Botswana, where he participated in the SADC Troika Summit with other heads of state in order to address issues of regional security and stability, in particular with the conflicts taking place in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as in a region of Mozambique, where there have been some terrorist activities. And so they came together in order to formulate a common approach, because Malawi is a true contributing member to the brigade that provides peace building and peace making efforts in those conflicts. On Saturday, President Chakwera participated in the commemoration of 2020 as the Year of the Nurse and Midwife. It was a small ceremony at BICC, but the President felt it was important to be there in light of the fact that nurses, midwives, and health workers in general have been instrumental in Malawi's success in its fight against COVID-19 pandemic. And so the President went there on Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, he left Lilongwe to come to Blantyre in order to participate in the installation of New Salvation Army leadership, which took place yesterday at Comesa Hall here in the city of Blantyre. In the afternoon of that Sunday, he held a presidential conference for the Blantyre City Council with all 21 or 22 city councillors present, as well as the 7 MPs of the city of Blantyre, as well as the CEO of the council and the 7 directors that the CEO works with, as well as the city mayor and deputy mayor. The President was also joined by the Minister of Local Government and the Deputy Minister of Local Government, Honorable Lingson Belekanyama and Honorable Halima Daud, respectively. Now, a video has gone around on social media of some of the councillors leaving the premises of Sanjika Palace in a bus and complaining that they received only 20,000 kwacha for their transport allowance, and that they are accustomed to coming to Sanjika Palace to meet presidents and being fattened in their pockets with as much as 200,000 kwacha. As far as this administration is concerned, that is precisely how the President would have it. The Malawian people's taxes are not to be wasted on elected officials who want to be paid for doing nothing other than just meeting the President. That's not going to happen. It didn't happen yesterday, and it's not going to happen next time, because Malawi needs political leaders who are interested in service, not just milking the Malawian people. And so the president made an assessment. These councillors are all coming from the city of Blantyre to meet the president in the city of Blantyre, and he felt, in his estimation, that 20,000 should suffice to cover their expenses of their food as well as their transport to come and meet him. And if they think that they should have gotten 200,000, that's never going to happen. And so the president is not grieved by those aspersions that he did not splurge and fatten their pockets. He's not interested in that. On Monday, which is today, the president is currently engaged in a meeting with some chiefs from the district of Palombe who are presenting to the president some of the social issues that they are facing in their district. And so the president is interested in hearing those so that he can see how his administration can address some of the social issues taking place here in the southern part of the country. Tomorrow is World AIDS Day, and the president is going to go to Mitundu outside the capital city, Lilongwe, to participate in a public function there to commemorate the day. And then that is going to be followed by a meeting he's going to have with a delegation from the University of Malawi who would like the president to participate in a graduation that's coming up for the university. I forgot to mention that on Saturday, President Chakwera delivered his weekly address to the nation, in which he addressed issues of rape against little girls as well as adolescent girls and women. And the president is greatly aggrieved by the growing scourge of defilement. And he has engaged the relevant ministries, which would be Health, Homeland Security, to ensure that these issues are being addressed with speed and gravity. And so those of you that did not get a chance to listen to that address, may I appeal to you to address that. I would also like to make special mention of the Nation newspaper, which carried a piece related to that address. Because when you carry pieces like that in the press, it ensures that Malawians are hearing the message that needs to be heard. And so the president would want me to express thanks for that. Lastly, before when the press secretary comes to the podium to take your questions, before we take questions, he's going to have us observe a minute of silence in honor of a journalist we have lost over the course of the past week. He's going to tell us the name and the publication he worked for, and then we'll pay our respects. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Director. As you have alluded to, the media fraternity has lost one of its hardworking journalists, photojournalist, James Chakwera, and I would like to ask us to stand. James was a very hardworking young man. He died in the course of duty, and it's unfortunate that we have lost him. He worked for the Nation publications. Before that, he also worked for the Times. I would want us to observe a minute of silence as we remember him. And may the soul of James rest in eternal peace. You may be seated. We will now take some questions, and let's start with the Nation publications. Anyone from Nation? Yes, Lucky. Can we have the microphone? You may use this microphone, Lucky. This one.
My name is Lakim Kandaire from the Nation Publications Limited. There have been observations that the president is attending some of the events which he could have delegated his advisors or the line ministers. I just wanted to hear from you. What do you make of this? Thank you.
Thank you. Funso limene afusa bambo Mkandawire kuchokera ku Nation Publications. A president akumapita mafunction amene akanakhoza kutuma mulangizi kapena nduna yawo. Do you have any of those functions in mind, like?
For instance, like yesterday where
You may use the mic.
Yeah, example is the one that he attended yesterday, where there was an installation of new leadership for Salvation Army.
Okay. The president went to pray with the Salvation Army. The president has not hidden his faith. He's a preacher of the Word of God. He's been a pastor for many years. And where people have gathered to pray, he will always be at liberty to join them. He doesn't have any apology of doing that. He has not hidden his faith in God. He believes in God, and he sees any problem to join members of the Salvation Army for a service of worship. Ndingufuna ndingonena so mchijewa chifukwa funso limene mwafusani ndilofunika kwambiri. A president samabisa za chikhulupiriro chawo. Ndi mbusa andi wakhala mbusa President Chakwera for zaka zambiri. Ndipo adapita ku Salvation Army kukapemphera. Ndipo sikuti ndi ku Salvation Army kokha kumene amapita. A week before tidapita ku Capital City Baptist Church. So kumene akhoza kuyitanidwa kuti akapemphere a president ngatali ndi nthawi adzayesetsa kupita kumeneko. Mwina you might also want to add your example ku Zamanes. I know you didn't mention that, but I think I can go further towards that. Manesi, my midwives and maneses agwira ntchito yotamandika kwambiri, especially this year amidst COVID. And a president anachiona kuti apite akalemekeze ntchito imene agwira. Sean mentioned that it was a small function. The president could have indeed delegated someone kuti akakhale nawo. Koma he went there to appreciate ntchito yotamandika imene manes and my midwives akhala kugwira, especially in this year where we are battling COVID. Olaka dakhala mmodzi amene amachitidwa honor, the president could have gone because he believes that the nurses have worked very hard. They deserve to be appreciated, and he went to the BICC to thank them for a job well done. And if you have a problem with that, then maybe there is something wrong. But the president believes that the nurses, the doctors, the midwives have worked pretty much hard this year amidst the so many challenges that they are facing. And he went to the BICC to thank them. And he called them our heroes. And indeed, they have been our heroes. Nurses, doctors, and the midwives this year amidst COVID. Let's take another question. Mitch, is that Brenda? Yes.
Okay, my name is Brenda Kaonga from Midge Radio. My first question is on the AIP program.
Yes.
It has been meeting a number of challenges. Is the president so far impressed with the progress of the program? The second one is on the foreign trips that the president has taken. How much has he used? And in terms of the number of the delegations, how many people accompanied him in the trips? And lastly, the 1 week that he gave to the Minister of Education and Manib on the leakage of exams. I just wanted to find out if there's any update.
Thank you. Ndiyankha mchichewa because the issue ya AIP ndiyofunikira kwambiri kuti amalawi ambiri amene akumana ndi ma challenges aimvetsetsenso. Funso lanu mwafunsa kunena kuti AIP, Affordable Input Program, imene anthu akumapita kugula zipangizo zochipa za ulimi komanso fertilizer ikukumana ndi mavuto. Kuti a president akudziwa pali zinthu zina zimene zikuyenda bwino mu AIP, palinso zinthu zina zimene zisakuyenda bwino. Polankhula mu radio address imene a president anayankhula pa 21 November, anayankhulapo pa zinthu zingapo zimene zisakuyenda bwino. And I want to quote what the president said. I personally launched this program 35 days ago, but in the 5 weeks that it has been in place, I have received reports from several places about 3 problems in its implementation. The first problem relates to network issues, where the computers that have the database of eligible beneficiaries do not connect to the network properly and do not always have all the households listed. To address this, the Minister of Information has been engaging internet service providers directly, and I'm happy that the work of fixing the network issues is underway. This is President Chakwera speaking in a radio address. The quote continues. The second problem relates to supply issues, where some centers have not been receiving supplies they were allocated. On this issue, the blame goes to the suppliers themselves. When the government awards a contract to a company to supply a good or a service, only those companies that have the capacity to do the job are considered. For this reason, if any selling points have not yet received their supply of fertilizer or have not received enough, the companies designated to supply that fertilizer cannot claim to lack capacity. In fact, there is no excuse for their failure to meet their obligations. To address this problem, the Minister of Agriculture is in the course of identifying the suppliers who are intentionally or inadvertently failing to do their job. If those suppliers do not shape up, they will lose their contracts. We cannot afford to have our time wasted by non-performing suppliers. End of quote. And that address was given on 21st of November 2020. So to answer your question, there are some things that the president is aware that they are not going on all right, and he has given his thoughts during that address. But there are also others. There are also other things that they are working. The biggest challenge, Brenda, has been on the demand. Kuti anthu akumafika ambiri kudzagula zipangizo zimenezi. But let's also, despite the challenges that are there, this AIP is far much better than FISIP, and that we should not forget. I have talked about how big is this AIP affecting households. The numbers cannot be compared to FISIP. Yes, there are some challenges. Those challenges are going to be looked into, and as we speak right now, experts in the ministry have even gone further to identify how best they can address these challenges. But despite the challenges that we have, you have highlighted, there are other success stories. For example, with FISIP, it almost took 3 months to bring into the country 90,000 metric tons of fertilizer. But with AIP, 120,000 metric tons have been delivered into the country within 3 weeks. So the challenge has been, there is demand, a lot of demand. And the president talked about this even yesterday. In some councils, in some districts, aguma gawana kunena kuti inu adera ili bwanji mubwere tsiku la lero, adera ili mubwere tsiku la mawa, so that there is not much congestion in as far as the buying is concerned. So to answer your question, the president is aware of the challenges facing AIP. And they have even gone further to say kunena kuti bwanji achoke ku za network kwabwere ku manyo. The officials in the Ministry of Agriculture, they looked at all those alternatives before they launched this system, and they realized kuti ya network ndi yabwino, but the best option is now to look at the challenges that they are coming with network. But there are success stories. Anthu akugula ambiri. Yes, there are problems. Let's not just focus on the problems. There are also a number of success stories in as far as AIP is concerned. Your second question is asking on the president's foreign travel. Yes, the president has traveled to a number of countries. We were on Friday. We were in Aberon in Botswana, where the president attended the Zodiak Troika Summit. Your question is ndalama zotani zimene tikugwiritsa ntchito. All what I can say is State House is spending within its limits. Kumakhala budget imene State House imakapereka ku National Assembly, ndipo kumene kuja amanena kunena kuti foreign travel musachite exceed takupatsani ndalama mwakuti. So what State House is doing ndikuonetsetsa kunena kuti we use according to the allocation that we have been given by Parliament, because we are not just spending willy-nilly. Everything that is used by State House, it is approved by Parliament. What I can confirm with you is that State House is doing all it can to make sure that we spend within the limits. Kusiana ni maboma amene apita, amene nthawi that they were even blowing the budget. So under the Chakwera administration, together with the Chief of Staff, Mr. Kaponda Mgaga, they are doing all what they can to make sure that we spend within the budget. And that you can be assured. The entourage of the president borders also on the security of the president. And I will not be obliged to go in discussing the entourage that also involves the security of the president, because that falls under the Privacy Act in as far as the security is concerned. But the numbers are very minimal. The president went with 14-member delegation from State House to Botswana. So this administration, especially at State House, the numbers are managed kwambiri kusiana ndi mbuyo. What was your last question? The one with that. Oh yes. We also dealt with that question, I think, in our area brief, and the Ministry of Education has also been speaking on the same. I would refer to the press briefings that the ministry has been handling. But all what I can say is that there is a lot of movement coming on the directive that the president gave. We hear that the CEO there is no longer there. We hear that the new exams will be written before January, agreeing with the direction that the president made. And we also hear that the students will write these exams without paying extra fees. So I think that's all what I can report in as far as these issues are concerned. And I want to thank you most kindly, Brenda, for raising those questions. Mibawa?
I'm Chawes Banda from Mibawa Television. A quick one, Brian. There are concerns from some sections of the country that Perhaps the president has got a bloated number in terms of his advisors. 21, if I'm not wrong, and 5, if not 6, of which are termed to be chief advisors. All of them, it is alleged that they are being compensated in pecs at the very same level as cabinet ministers. Any explanation or clarification to this particular effect? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Banda from Mibawa Television. It's a very good question. Yes, it's true that the president has advisors, and they are categorized into 2. We have chief advisors and the special advisors. Or what I can say is that the president has these advisors who are doing specific tasks. They are doing specific tasks. They advise the president on so many things. To say kuti others they are at par with cabinet ministers, you might be misinformed. But for the benefit of doubt, I want to give you the whole list, because it's Sisobisa, the whole list of the advisors that the president has. Mr. Adamson Nkandawire is the chief advisor to the president on rural transformation and development. So you can see that his focus is on rural transformation. Mr. Chancellor Kafira is the chief economic advisor. So anything to do with the economy. When the president wants to understand more on the economy, this is the man to talk to. Mr. Chris Chaima Banda is the chief advisor on strategy and manifesto implementation. So he has a specific role. The Tonse administration promised Malawians so many things. So this is the man who is now checking where are we on what we promised Malawians, and he advises the president accordingly. Colleen Zamba has left a well-paying job with the UN, and she's coming to save her country. As we speak right now, she's in Eswatini, winding up her job there with the United Nations, a huge sacrifice to come and work for this administration. She's also a chief economic advisor. Dr. Samson Lembani, chief advisor on public policy and governance. Mr. Pastor Macduff Piri is the chief advisor to the First Lady. Lara Nita is the advisor on legal affairs. Mr. Lucius Banda is the advisor on arts. Mr. Ovaston Kondowe is the advisor on people living with albinism. Reverend Brian Kamwendo is an advisor to the president on religious affairs and is deputized by Sheikh Abbas. Mrs. Dorothy Ngoma is the special advisor on safe motherhood. Mrs. Dorothy Chirambo is the special advisor on women and child development. Reverend Maurice Mundhali is the special advisor on peace, reconciliation, and national unity. Mr. Ephraim Chivunde is the special advisor on political affairs. Honorable Fred Dishon Nkalangiza is the special advisor of political affairs, deputizing Mr. Chivunde. And Honorable Maxwell Cholela is a special advisor on parliamentary affairs. Honorable Moses Kunkuyu is a special advisor on chiefs affairs. As we speak right now, the president and the chief advisor on chiefs, they are locked up in a meeting with chiefs from Palombe. Mrs. Martha Kwataine is a special advisor on NGO and civil society. And Pastor Martin Tom is special advisor on special duties. So these are the people that have a specific task that they are giving to the president. I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you, Chawes. We'll take the last question because we have to wind up at 11. Madam Sarah from The Times.
My name is Sarah Shlora from Times. Much as I would have loved to hear what the president would do about the issue at Nokma, seeing as Sean has already answered, I still have an extension to
Yes.
that. There are still reports that there's infighting among ministers and that the incident at Nokma is just one of it. How true are these reports? It's just a reflection of the infighting.
Thank you. State House does not comment on gossip. We cannot come here, Mrs. Jolora, to comment on gossip. We haven't heard that there are ministers fighting. I haven't come across any news of ministers fighting. And for the sake of progress, I would say that this is not the place to comment on gossip. To us, as far as your insinuation or your comments are concerned, we take that as gossip, and gossip has no place at State House. The second element of your question, the president's view on what is happening at Nokma, Sean already alluded to, but just to take it further, to say that the matter is now being handled by the ACB, and ACB is an independent body. When they finish their conclusions, they will give to us their conclusions, and the president will make his determination on that matter if there is any to be made at that particular time. So for now, let's leave it in the able hands of the ACB, and when those results have come through, the president will make his determination. On that note, I would like to sincerely thank you all for coming. We wish we had more time, but we can only confine ourselves to 1 hour. Television stations and radio stations have given us an hour. We cannot go beyond that hour. It's been nice seeing you all after some time, and we will be back in Blantyre in due course. I would like to thank you most kindly for finding time to come to the palace. The press office is always available. Our number is quad 9 6 quad 3, if I'm not mistaken. You can always talk to us at all times, and you can also get in touch via email, brianbanda@statehouse.mw. Thanking you for joining us today, and we'll see you in due course. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Well.